All right, Wonder Years fans. Now, first of all, I don't know. Let me know in the comments section. Was there something wrong with last week's episode? Did my video have low? Was there something I did wrong? Because the dislike ratio on that video during the camping episode, I was like, well, damn, what happened? Did you want a longer review or what? So just let me know. Was there something that I didn't know about in regards to last week's episode? Be prepared. Just tell me, was it something I did wrong, or did you just not care for the episode? It's just like the like and dislike ratio doesn't really hurt the algorithm for my videos. Any interaction helps, likes, dislikes, comments, but I was just a bit confused why that review upon being uploaded got like 4 to 5 dislikes within 30 minutes. So I'm just going to go into this video with extreme caution. But season 1, episode 7, and since the show, I believe it was last week, was announced to have been ordered for a full season of 22 episodes, I'm going to somewhat assume that, around episode 10 or 11 is when the show might go on a mid-season break. That way it will allow the cast to film the remaining episodes that have just been ordered. So 8, 9, 10, 11. I guess we have maybe 3 or 4 episodes before they go on break, if they go on break. So before moving forward in Independence Day, make sure you take a moment to hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video or dislike, whatever. Hit subscribe as we get closer to 190,000 subscribers. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And go ahead and hit the bell icon and select all. That way you keep up to date whenever I post content on the channel. So again, season 1, episode 7, Independence Day. Bill comes up with a solution for Kim's car desires, but the solution is only pleasing to him. Dean is worried about seeming uncool when Clisby, aka his grandpa on his father's side, ends up chaperoning him and his friends. 10 out of 10. For real, I love this episode because I haven't really seen that point in life where, at least in my family, where a person has to stop driving and they surrender their right to drive because they're too old or they're just unable to. But then again, this is the 60s. I'm not saying that doesn't happen now, but I was just thinking to myself, wow, things have changed so much now, because now with just a push of a button on your phone, you can do an Uber or, any other form of mobile request to get driven from place to place. Like, that's the one thing I miss about the apartment in the city, aka Lynchburg. Just the fact that, let's say I didn't feel like driving, or moments where prices for gas went sky high, like they are now. But I think it was that one point in time when there was a gas shortage and everybody lost their damn mind for like 2 weeks, and gas shortages were around the country. I was like, it's cheaper, even in the long run, to just Uber somewhere as opposed to burning gas in my car, which I filled up before the gouge, So this was a pretty wholesome episode, because you got Bill's father, who is reluctant to give up driving due to his lack of independence. And then you have Kim, who just got her license. And while one person is eager to use their newfound independence, one person is displeased to lose theirs. So that was pretty interesting how they paralleled that. Technically, if you want to triple it, you can throw in Dean, who was wanting to go to the mall without his parents to hang out with his friends. And it's really interesting when you think about it, due to the fact that Bill was like, hey, Dad, give up your car keys, because what we're going to do is I'm going to buy your car from you, give it to Kim, but she has to drive you everywhere you need to go. And then Dean sees that as an opportunity to be able to go to the mall without his parents, because at the beginning of the episode, they asked the standard parent question, who's all going to be there? Do you have mall money? Never mind. And then he gets to school, he's kind of, jealous because of the other kids who are able to hang out at the mall. They see all these girls there. He wants to be, he just wants to be one of the guys, basically not having to go with his parents everywhere. And as a person who honestly hates to drive, I can relate to that, especially at that age. But I feel like it was funny when Bill was showing Kim how to drive. That's a complete dad move. Honestly, I got my mom to teach me how to drive because I saw how my dad taught my sister, and I'm like, I don't really want that kind of experience because my nerves are bad enough as it is. So to have somebody yelling at everything you do, even when you're completely right, I don't know. That's the thing about black families. They show love, but in the most aggressive ways. And it isn't until you're older that you realize that it's love. But at the same time, you're still scarred for life. But to actually see their grandpa on the road flipping him off because he's driving like he's drunk, and then wanting to go to like the auto shop, wanting to go to the barber shop, that was pretty funny. But they end up at the mall, and Kim actually dumps their grandpa on Dean because of the fact that, Charlene sees him there and it's like, oh, it's so mature you're here hanging with your friends. And then they share some cotton candy. But then granddad comes over. She's like, oh, I'm going to find my mom. Never mind. Bye. See you in church. So Dean's grandfather hits it off with the kids pretty well. Obviously, he's old fashioned the way he thinks, the way kids today have their hair and, why y'all hanging around the mall when you could be outside. He's basically a man of his time. But he actually decides to pay the way for everybody to watch an R-rated movie. And it was a pretty deep moment because Dean was like, oh, wow, look at that wad of cash. But then he's like, it wasn't until later that I found out granddad just had trouble getting a bank account. So, man, that's the one thing I really appreciate about this show. It isn't about just the comedy. And I mean, Everybody Hates Chris obviously was comedy, but at the same time, it had moments where it was a lot of heart in it, where Chris Rock's narrator, especially Chris Rock as narrator, usually towards the middle or ending of an episode, where he didn't really understand why his parents or teachers or somebody, acted the way they acted. It's like, only when I was older did I realize that kind of thing. So it's pretty deep. But regardless, he's a cool grandpa, but he even notices that Dean has a thing for Keisha. And it turns out that at some point Kim was in the shoe store, met up with a guy from school, was like, hey, I'm going to a party. So tomorrow, grandpa, I can't take you to the barbershop because I'm not driving. I'm actually, going to a party. So the next day, Bill can't take his dad because he's meeting up with the guys, and he grabs Dean so they can go on a secret mission. Basically, hey, let's keep this R-rated movie I showed you and your friends to us, and you hop in the car with me to go to the barbershop. And they go, have a good time. And this, to be honest, I want to say about 2019, I started cutting my own hair. And I haven't been to a barbershop since. So I do kind of miss the atmosphere. The barbershop was just, for a lack of a better phrase, the place where men could let their hair down to get cut, if you want to put it that way, because the fact that you can have all these kind of conversations. And to be completely honest, that's one thing I miss. The barbershop conversation, politics, women, life, that is organic and real in the moment as compared to online where you post something and somebody automatically disagrees and then they assume because you think this way you must hate all things. But the barbershop is just a place where there's healthy discussion, because I've seen it where I wouldn't say people were flat out debating, but one person would say something. It's like, no, but did you see the update on that last night? It's like, oh, okay. It's just so organic, and I miss that. But on the way back from the barbershop, unfortunately, Grandpa has a moment where he doesn't pay attention to the road. He's talking with his hands and he's looking at Dean. Dean warns him to swerve out of the way to avoid a car, and he ends up crashing into a mailbox. Thankfully, Dean's okay, but he sees how upset his grandpa is because he needs a moment to collect himself and the realization that, yeah, he really needs to get off the road. So sadly, thankfully Dean wasn't hurt, but sadly, it took the chance of his grandson really being hurt to say that, to show grandpa that he needed to give up the keys and, rely on those people. So from there, they get to the house. Obviously, Dean's parents are freaking out because the car is messed up. So they automatically know that something went wrong. But instead of fighting, his grandpa hands over the keys, and Dean is okay, but he just says, yeah, I knew how hard that was in a moment for my dad, but that's okay. I'm going to enjoy bossing my dad around when he's older. So at the end of the episode, the resolution is whenever Kim dropped off Dean or their grandpa somewhere, she would do it from like a distance, so that way their friends wouldn't know that they were driven there. And it was just a good episode. Dean's hanging out at the mall, his granddad's hanging out at the barbershop, and Kim's doing her thing. So yeah, this was a wholesome episode. The hierarchy of parents, where when your parents are kind of hard on you, but then you see how their parents treat them, and from there you understand why your parents are the way they are. But for me, on my dad's side especially, my grandparents were like obviously really old, so there really wasn't that many moments where I saw them together. So I really don't know what their dynamic was, but probably wasn't that good. I don't know. But yeah, this was a great episode. I loved it. If this show is on, well, then again, I think it's supposed to be on Hulu and ABC.com. Hopefully it gets uploaded to Netflix at some point, because I wouldn't mind doing a healthy binge, like if I'm doing something, I wouldn't mind having this show on in the background. It's really good, guys. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And like I said at the beginning, seriously, what the hell was up with the dislikes last week? And be sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App.